She's gonna get so mad at me for this.
Is that on video?
It is on video.
That's the plot.
It probably won't happen.
Said what I said.
You're gonna do this to me.
I get to ask the questions. You don't ask me questions. I ask you questions.
Maybe Darren should go first. I have no clue.
Let me look a little bit more decent.
Do you?
God, I don't know that anybody's ever asked me that.
This is gonna sound so lame.
This is embarrassing.
Okay, alright, so I was a senior in high school and I was trying to model, so I was like eating super healthy, drinking all the water that I could, and I had taken as many classes as I could my sophomore and junior year so that I could have a chill senior year. So senior year rolls around, right on the cusp, I'm 17, but senior year rolls around and I get out of school at 12:30 every day. But it's like I'm on a time clock. I wake up and I'm like, I have my green tea, I gotta eat my like probably 1 egg, 10 almonds, who the heck knows. And then I have this smart water bottle that's like 30 ounces. And I remember finishing 2 of those things before 12 o'clock. And we all know I have the smallest bladder in the world. So peeing 2 or 3 times in one class was like not uncommon. But the final tardy bell rings and I'm heading out to my car and I pass the bathroom on the way to my car and I'm like, heck yeah, take every opportunity, take advantage of every opportunity. So go to the bathroom, get my car. We live 5 minutes away from the school, like 5. So, and there was no traffic. So I was driving home and I get like halfway at the beginning of our neighborhood and maybe halfway through the neighborhood and it hits me. Like I have to go to the bathroom right then and there is no delaying this thing. And it's like, you know, we're in a neighborhood where everybody knows everybody. They recognize your car, the moms are on watch, they're always texting each other. And it's of course like a 25 mile an hour speed limit, but we always go 40 on this one strip where the parents are the most like hovery. So I'm like, frick, in the middle of this, like all of that is happening in my brain and I round the corner and I'm finally like, we have this long ass driveway that goes all the way back into the woods and we finally get there. And I make it all the way to the garage. And I'm like, I park the car, all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm finally home, I'm gonna make it, blah, blah, blah. I go to turn punch code things, and the thing stops working. Like, the battery was starting to go out, and it was glitchy every now and then, and of course, in this moment, it decides to glitch. Game over, I pee all over myself, and I'm like screaming, like, oh my gosh, and I have like my uniform on from school, I'm just standing there, peeing on myself. And mom hears me because she was home, which made me even more mad because I'm like, somebody's on the other side of this thing. We know this thing doesn't work. Why isn't it fixed? And she comes to the door and sees me and I'm like, okay, because the bathroom was like literally right on the other side of the door. So I never lived that one down. Peyton loves to tell everybody too.
Well, I was at one camp, which is a summer camp in like high school, and we had a long like period of just like exercise. Essentially, we'd go play like kickball or something, and I had to poop really bad. And the only bathroom that was close to the top of the hill I was on was like quarter mile or more away, but they wouldn't let me leave to go poop because they thought I was just trying to get out of it. And so finally, an hour goes by. At this point, I'm like, I really gotta poop. And so it ends, and I'm on a mad dash down the hill, trying not to poop myself, running, hitting every bump, trying not to poop myself, get into this, to like where we were sleeping, go blow my pants out because I couldn't make it to the toilet, just pooped all down my legs. So I'm like stripping my clothes, jump in the shower. I'm trying to get this done before everyone else in my cabin shows up. So I get all the poop washed off, I've thrown my clothes away in the trash can, and I walk out and I'm like going to look in my drawer for clothes, and I'm like, huh, this is not my clothes. So I go to the next drawer, and I'm like looking around at all the drawers. I'm like, someone moved my stuff around. I realize it's not my cabin. So now I'm butt naked with no clothes. My poopy clothes are in the toilet, and I got about a 40-yard dash to my cabin, and all of the campers are coming down the hill I just did a mad dash on. So I just cup and run. And I got dressed, went about my day like nothing happened, and later I faked my way into that cabin to try and get my poopy clothes out of the trash can to hide the evidence. and they were all talking about how there was this horrible stench and that someone found some poop in the shower and it was horrible, and I just left. I left my poofy clothes in the trash can.
I love messing with my older sister. So she's gonna get so mad at me for this, but she habitually like sees the bathroom with the door open and the lights off, just all the time. And so one morning she had the lights off, door open, and was peeing early in the morning. We were getting ready for school. She was probably like 15, so you know, I'm sitting somewhere around maybe like 8, brother's 12, so we always get up and go to the bathroom. Well, I get up and I notice it, so I go in there and I wake my brother up, and the first thing he always does, eyes closed, is walk to the bathroom. So he walked into the bathroom and peed on her in the dark. And just peed on her, and I'm sitting around the corner laughing. And so she started to close the door now.
There used to be a man who's roamed around primarily Georgia. He was known as the Goat Man. And the Goat Man had a little wagon he pulled, and probably had 20 goats that pulled the wagon. And he had probably not bathed in 40 years. I was told he was a very smart guy. You could tell where he'd broken his arm 2 or 3 times. His arm was crooked. And he lived in this little made-up wagon with a cover on it, and it had nasty postcards on the side. But we loved when the Goat Man came to town. He came one year and parked right in the middle of town on Halloween, which was a kid's dream. I'm just telling you, because he called himself a preacher, and he would preach and then he'd cuss, and he'd preach and he'd cuss over and over again, and he smelled like the goats, which for a kid was perfect. We loved this. I didn't mind the smell at all. I don't know how other people felt about it, but he set up on Halloween. It was the greatest Halloween of my entire life. Perfect.
This will only be funny to me probably, but I remember when I was a kid, I think I was probably 3 years old, and I used to dream a lot. And I had this dream when I was about 3 that I thought, like, it's impossible for there to be a funnier dream than this. And I was an elf, and I was in a workshop of elves, and we were all sitting at a long table reading books, and it was kind of like a contest to see who could read their book the fastest. And so there was an elf that finished reading his book, like, had gotten all the way to the end, and then for some reason, in my 3-year-old subconscious, he flipped back to the very first page and then started yelling and pointing to the book, saying, "Look, look, look, look where I am," on the first page. And for some reason, I woke up from that and thought that was the funniest thing that anybody could possibly do, was to read their entire book and then be proud of the fact that they were on the very first page. And I told that story to everyone until I was probably like 6 or 7 years old, and did not understand why nobody else laughed. To this day, why does nobody find that funny? The elf finished the book and then was proud of being on the very first page.
One memory I had with my cousin, which is like, we would go to like the apple farm, and me and my cousin were just like before puberty. We always acted like really dumb, and we would take the apples and we'd stuff them in our bra, like in front of like everybody. Everybody would just see us and just walk around with the apples in our shirts. Yeah.
Scenario that me and my friend ran into. We were at the beach hanging out in the water, I think it was Jacksonville Beach, and we were talking. He hit me with the question with, which situation would you prefer to be in? It's either in the water with a shark or in the woods with a bear. Which situation would you prefer to be in? And I looked behind him and I say, well, considering there's a shark right behind you, probably the water with a shark. And he turned, there's literally 100 feet away maybe, a big fin swimming around right behind him. In that perfect situation is so great.
When we were still living in our childhood home, we had like a little iPod that we all shared, and we used to like take little videos of each other like doing silly things all the time. And Micah, one time he left the phone, like sat up somewhere in my room, and he was like just messing around, being silly, doing something with the broom, and there was like music playing. I think it was like a Michael Bublé song, and he was like twirling around, dancing with the broom. All of this is being filmed, which we ended up like watching later, and that's what makes it so funny, is like you can just see that he's like totally in his own little world in his mind, and like just, you know, completely all doing his own thing. And he drops the broom, he's like dancing with it, turning around, he like drops the broom and like accidentally steps on it and like comes back and hits him in the face. Oh man, that just we laughed about that one for so long, because he like gets hit in the face and then he'll like try to like recover and like try to just keep on dancing, when, you know, if anyone else had been in the room, we all would have just, you know, giving him hell.
We lived in a mobile home before we built our house in Moselle. And if you've ever lived in a trailer, it's like, you know, it's thin walls. So it's like we were, it was a thunderstorm that had happened. And I think it just revealed a family dynamic, but a thunderstorm happened, and I think a transformer blew. And a transformer blowing outside of a mobile home sounds like a cannon going off. And so, I mean, and it was in the middle of the night, so we're all asleep. My mom and dad were on one end, and me and my sister were on the other end. And I mean, it was like immediately after this cannon went off, me and my dad meet in the living room. I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know. And my mom and sister were just sound asleep. So it was just like, I don't know why that popped in my head. I mean, it's a funny thing that we look back on because of the family dynamic of it all. It's like my dad and I are both more high strung, and Angie and my mom are much more just like, that's gonna be fine.
So when I was probably, maybe 16 years old, I went on a trip with a friend of mine and his family, and then a couple other, like, they were very brave. They brought I remember 5 or 6 of us that were all kind of in the same age range. And we went on this trip, and I was notorious. If I got in a car, I went to sleep. So my friends were going on this trip to the Smoky Mountains, right, from Florida. And I fell asleep. If we were going on a road trip, if I went with my friends on a road trip, I'd fall asleep. And so we rented this van, or maybe they had a van. Anyways, I fell asleep at the bottom of the van. So you can imagine, when I would get up, I would have bedhead. It'd be like, the dry drool on the side of my face. I'd be completely discombobulated. And anyways, one of my very best friends, Mel, he thought it was hilarious. Just make nonstop fun of me. He'd be like, Cookie! And he'd laughing at me. And we'd get everybody else laughing, and I'd stumble out of the van, no cares in the world, and go into Cracker Barrel or wherever it was. And at that age, you're trying to look good for the girls, and you're trying to look right. And for some reason on those trips, I could never get it together, and I guess I didn't care enough. So I was kind of my other friends were would tell anybody, if there was a cute girl, or if there was even just people around, they'd be like, yeah, we picked him up on the side of the road. But anyways, so this all culminated. We finally get to the Smoky Mountains. I decided, because I was a classy dresser, I decided that my little polo shirt, I think I had some slacks, but I decided to wear dress shoes into the Smoky Mountains. And they weren't high quality dress shoes. They're probably a JCPenney special dress shoe. And so it hurt my feet because, it's the Smoky Mountains, you're climbing, and it's hilly, and it's whatever. And so we're walking through Gatlinburg, and I go, my feet are killing me. The back of my heel, where it's this hard, stinking shoe, is digging in like it's got a vendetta against the back of my foot. And so I go into the bathroom, and I stuff toilet paper down. I'm like, sweet, I'm good now. So I get back out there, and we're chilling with the dudes. And, we're a cool crowd. We're the Rat Pack, we're suave, and we're walking, and all of a sudden, Mel, again, my friend, just starts dying, laughing, about falls over in the street. And I was walking along to the side or slightly behind or whatever the group, and I had like 6 feet of toilet paper that had unwound from my shoe and was just dragging behind me. And we're walking up the street trying to look good for the ladies. And I've got burgundy dress shoes on with about 6 feet of toilet paper coming out the back. And I think I was bringing the cool level down pretty dramatically. So
I guess one of the funniest things that I can remember, we were at my grandparents'. My dad was in Korea, and we were staying with my grandparents on my mom's side. And my grandmother made apple tarts, hot apple tarts for breakfast. She did that a lot of mornings, but this morning she was a little bit behind schedule, so she was still making them while we were gathered at the table. And my grandfather sat on the end. I sat in the chair on the side. My brother sat next to me, and my mom sat on the other side. My never would sit down, or she would stand by my grandfather and eat. But anyway, she had this apple tart. She'd just taken, she scooped it out of the pan and put it on his plate and said, "Now, Papa, they're hot." He was talking, and because he's a preacher, okay, and he's not sermonizing, but he's in the conversation. He reaches down and he bites into that, or cuts into that apple tart, puts it in his mouth, and he stuck that apple tart with his fork and flipped it and went over my head and landed in my brother's plate. And my brother always sat with his head down over his plate like somebody was going to take it. And that apple tart came down and landed right in front of him, and he didn't even stop eating. He just he said, and I got tickled, and he laughed, I was laughing. Mama was saying shh, because my grandfather was sitting there going, that was hot, that was hot. And I lost it. I was giggling flat out. And finally, my mama got tickled. She got to giggling, and even my grandmother behind me, I could hear her laughing. Her little, for it to crack my mom up with my grandfather sitting there trying not to cuss under his breath.
Like, don't let yourself get in the way, because yourself can literally, it determines what you can do. There's no one else that can determine that. It's you and what you believe, your morals, your code, and like how confident you are in yourself and what you're willing to risk. That's what can determine where you can go, who you can be.
Ask people older than you what they would do differently and learn from it, because gosh, it sure speeds the learning curve up a whole lot. And ask a wide variety of people, because knowledge is power.
I do like this quote by NF. It's a pretty good quote. It's more centered around like mental health, which is pretty important for life, but he says something along the lines in one of his songs of, if you wake up every day and you look in the mirror and you tell yourself you're a piece of crap or no good and all these things, then that's what you are, and everyone else will believe the same thing. So it's not necessarily that you might suck at something, but if you continually just reinforce that you suck, then it's really hard to progress past it, especially if that's your goal. So yeah, it's kind of just like changing your outlook on what you tell yourself about yourself.
All I'm thinking of right now is my dad. He always says the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And that's a good piece of life advice that I got from him, because I'm like more of a quiet person. It's just a reminder to, like, if you feel convicted about something, you should speak up about it.
So I tend to question myself a lot every single day with what I'm doing. So one thing that I've spoken with my dad about is like, make the decision you want to make, follow through with it, and don't give up on it until like you're done, and then see whether you like that or not, and then switch your direction to where you do want to go.
I think that freedom is a worthy pursuit, and that path, I think it's famously paved with pain for most people, but it is so worth it.
Best piece of life advice is do something in life that's going to make you happy. Don't do it for others, because if you live for other people, you're just going to be miserable for your whole life.
Keep breathing. That's a really good one. And it's my best recommendation for life is just keep breathing. But I guess my best life advice is be kind. Just be kind. And you don't know what people have walked through. You don't know where they're coming from. And so the best you can do is just appreciate people for where they are and be kind to them, and just share the love of Christ with them. Just be the love of God to them. That may be as close as they ever get in this life.
I suppose I'll answer that by saying what my guiding principle in life is. And to me, the ultimate principle and goal of everybody's life should be to seek truth. And that can look different for different people. But if you're not trying to figure out amongst the morass of information and advice and guidance that we get in this life what is true, and true is usually like one thing on one topic amongst many options. If you're not trying to sniff out what that true thing is, then I think it's very easy for you to be misguided in life. And so I think good general applicable advice / life pursuit is to seek truth in whatever context you exist in and whatever's important to you. Try and figure out what the highest truth is in your milieu.
Okay, so a lot of people might not agree with this, but it depends on like the family dynamic. But if you can live with your parents as long as possible, save up your money, and then once you get a good amount saved up, then move out.
The idea of trusting your own inner voice, and not first of all always know who the people in like your life like that you trust the very most, and like you can tell anything to or do anything. Like you murder somebody and like, oh, I should have done that, like, all right, well, we'll help you, but like just you gotta be better, you know, like you can tell anything to people that you trust, and then listen to what they have to say, because they see you from the outside in, when a lot of times you only see you from the inside out. And I think it's really important to be able to have like both perspectives, but at the end of the day, you are the only person who knows yourself as well as you do. And so I think the most important and valuable journey worth going on is the one where you learn how to listen to your own inner voice, because if you follow your heart, and you make decisions based on the things that bring you peace and feel the most like in line with what is meant for you at the time, then it's really hard to look back on your life and have any regrets, because you feel like you lived like the most like you, because there will only ever be one you, and there will always be an everybody else, but there will only be a you. So what's the point of letting everybody else tell you what to do?
Everything happens for a reason. If it's crappy, it can get as crappier, but it's going to turn out good in the end, and you're going to see the good side from it, and probably the bad side, and learn not to do or go through that again, or try to find ways to steer another path.
One thing that's been a big goal for me when I was making my New Year's resolutions, and just over time, especially with working through anxiety or a lot of difficult challenges in life, it's so important to have a positive mindset, and it's hard to do that, but what I've tried to do to help me is focus on little things. So focusing on not the big picture, not the big problems, not the big moments, but the small moments, the small one step at a time, and just small details of things that you don't think to appreciate every day. And just breaking things down a lot smaller has made things a lot easier to enjoy.
Don't trust everything you see. Learn things for yourself. Like just because you saw it on social media doesn't mean it's true. You know, you need to break away from the pressures that society pushes onto you, and to kind of look outwards and look inwards and try to find the truth in things on your own, rather than finding it from someone on a social media app, or even just, you know, sitting back, being comfortable and just taking things in. You do learn a lot that way, but just actively pursue the truth on your own.
that the non-traditional path is oftentimes the most fun and rewarding, and don't shy away from it.
Have fun with those that you love.
Always try to see it from the other person's view. We get so stuck in the way that we see things because of our raising, the way that we did things, that it's very hard to understand that somebody else is coming from a completely different situation and looks at something completely different. So always just take time to see someone else's view.
Best life advice from someone who has not been on this earth for very long is to learn from other people's experiences. So ask questions, be a sponge, and just see where people have been, and that'll help you figure out to where you want to go.
This is gonna sound so Christian, cheesy, cliche, but honestly, my best piece of life advice is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and your strength, because it is from that everything else works out. It's the recipe for success, because from love everything flows well, period. So I feel like when you love God with your whole being, trust comes more naturally, peace comes more naturally, clarity comes more naturally. But it's not just a Christianese statement in the sense that you love God because you know him. It's when you love somebody, you focus on relationship. So it's the pursuit of him. It is the love of him that is the result of all good things.
My best piece of life advice is to hang in there and keep going. When life gets really brutal, and I've had my moments in life in the last handful of years where everything, like your whole way of life is so crushed and so shattered, and like all the purpose and meaning has been like sort of sucked out of it, and you're just in this like vacuumless, you're in a vacuum of like meaninglessness, and you don't want to be in the game anymore. It's like the game is like no fun anymore, and it's so incredibly unpleasant, and you don't see the purpose. In those moments, what you can't see is that if you stay in and you keep going, life is an adventure, and eventually it's going to be part of your story. And so you have to have like the perseverance to just like stay in, even when it doesn't seem like there's any reason, because hope is, even when it's so dim that you can't see it anymore, it's a real thing, and it's a tangible thing. And so if you will stay in the game and just keep moving forward and keep progressing and keep searching for meaning and purpose and hope, you will find it. And then you get to progress on the adventure, and it ends up being pretty cool.
Don't go to bed angry. I think that's one of the worst things that I could ever done, was to try to remember when you're angry, try to think in your mind what it was about that person that you loved, rather than what made you angry. Those are the two things that seem to have stood me in good stead, was, you know, whether it's marriage or friendship, try to keep in mind what you loved about them rather than what you hated about them.
Seeing everybody. Before I landed, I was telling my buddy, like, I think I'm gonna cry, which I didn't cry, but it's been a long time, about 2 years since I saw anybody. I personally struggle with keeping up with relationships of any kind, and so I feel like a lot of the relationships that I really cherished while I was in the military, they sort of just dropped down. And while I still absolutely love them, cherish them, and they're still my best friends, I consider, that thing is just, it keeps me from, I'm so focused on what's in front of me and what's going on in my life on the day-to-day, that I just let everything else sort of fall to the wayside. So being able to see them again, and it just picked right back up. It's been great.
My favorite part, I mean, just getting to be here, getting to build family with you guys has been really sweet. Yeah.
Getting to see all my Marine buddies. I interact with these guys like online and stuff, like we'll hop in like Discord calls and stuff, but I hadn't gotten to see them in a minute, because like the 3 that are here right now even just got out before me. So getting to see them and just like stay up till 4 a.m. just talking about boot camp stories or going through our Snapchat memories and stuff, that's been like, yeah, we're definitely gonna have to repeat this every year to some degree, whether it's here or we go on a cruise or get an Airbnb in the mountains, whatever it is, we're definitely gonna have to make sure to keep cycling this, because this was every bit worth it.
Oh my gosh, catching up with everybody. It's been, I haven't seen most of these people in like 2 years or almost 2 years, and I feel like just catching up with everybody's been so fun and like enjoyable. And I forgot like how much fun we used to have and like the jokes, and like you don't really get that with anybody else like outside the military. Our connection was just great.
Being back together as a family, because it's been years with several of these people that are here. It's been months maybe for like us, Micah and Reagan, but it's just that feeling of being back together again and being able to like have that camaraderie that we had back when we were all together, living together. So I think that's my favorite, and then just genuinely being around like a cheerful family. So.
Probably that's been just a restful day. It hasn't, for at least for me. Like typically it's chaotic. It's like, and if you're planning and you're putting it is chaotic. So I'm grateful to have had to have been on the chaotic side. It's a restful day. So.
Gosh, I've had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing games with everyone upstairs in the loft, like just being super silly, and like it was, I said this earlier, like it was the perfect balance of like silliness and like buffoonery and goofiness with like balanced with like no one makes you feel nervous, like oh somebody's gonna go take it too far, or you know what I mean, like just it was just like the vibes were immaculate. It was, I think it was probably one of my favorite, yeah, my favorite was like when we played our little do or drink game, and everyone was just silly and open and had a good time, and it was perfect. It was really fun.
Getting out of bed was a good thing. Waking up was a very good thing. But getting here, because my house is up topsy-turvy right now, and so coming here has been the best part so far, by far the best part. And I had not had anything to eat, so snacks have been good so far. So yeah, so that's the best part.
I think it's probably the same thing that I always enjoy about coming here, which is that you never know exactly who's going to show up, but they're going to be good people, and you never know what conversations you're going to have, but they're going to be interesting. And I don't think that I've ever come here and left exactly the same person. And that's because of the conversations and the camaraderie and the brotherhood. But that's probably my favorite thing about this one, as well as every time that I come here, is that there's just really unique, really good, interesting, thoughtful, intelligent people that congregate here. And there aren't that many places in this world where that happens consistently, but it happens every single time that I come here. So it's just a high value place to spend time, I would say.
My favorite part was seeing everybody, spending time with them, meeting new people. That was great. Yeah, a lot of like people I've talked to virtually, and now I get to see them in person, so that's a cool experience.
It's felt very relaxing. I feel like sometimes there can be stress with holidays, and I was a little stressed to come here too. Just I worry a lot about how people are going to perceive me and everything, but everybody's been super welcoming here and everything. And on the 4th of July, I got to just sit down with my family, and I feel like some holidays can get away from me and being in college and everything, and I don't always spend them with my family. So it was so nice to just look around and see everybody watching fireworks in our yard and having a good time.
Seeing y'all. I love y'all so much. And I'm comfortable whenever I come over here. Every single time. It's something that I'm not used to. Big family, not used to it. Nice property that I feel comfortable at, not used to it. I love being over here. Seeing the beautiful faces.
My favorite part of this 4th of July was when we were all on the lake on the actual 4th. And it was like no clouds in the sky for a good 5-6 hours. And we just sat on the water and could get out. And also I really like the slip and slide. Even though it was dangerous and even though it needed to be better like engineered or whatever, it was so much fun. It's such an adrenaline rush.
My favorite part has probably been the hanging out by the water, swimming, having conversations with you and Dakota, and just enjoying the day on the water, getting burnt, you know, just having a good time.
Slip and slide.
I think every time I come to Atlanta, it's just a great melting pot of a lot of people that just so diverse from so many different, nationalities, the way we were reared, like our ages. And it's so cool, especially since, not counting Mimi, like I'm the senior citizen. Mimi's the matriarch. We all, hail to the Mimi. And so it's so fun for me to see these I'm gonna call them kids because mine are included, but these younger kids just growing into their own and bringing all their friends here and just seeing all of them interact together, and it's just pure joy. Yeah, I just love it, and I love how everybody's so respectful of each other's differences, and then how we just love to sit around telling stories. It's really fun.
Favorite part is just spending time with people that just are just an open house policy here, and just watching the people that's never been here before just being welcomed as family and them feeling like they're in a safe place. And I enjoy seeing that.
Honestly, I feel like I get this feeling of like fulfillment, like the rewarding part of it, just being surrounded by so many people that are family, that like aren't even blood related, like at all. But I think that's what I miss the most with being away from home, is just being around all of my people. And now I have this new set of people that I enjoy, that I don't ever see a lot, with everybody living in different places, and just this collection of people that aren't blood can be so much stronger than you can even imagine. So I think that just seeing all these faces, feeling so fulfilled and just warm and at peace and at home.
I think my personal favorite part of 4th of July was floating in the lake. And as much as we needed the rain, I needed the sun and to be floating in the lake. I think that was honestly my favorite part. I love the connection. I love our family. I love it all coming together. I love the deep moments. I want that to be the norm. For me, I needed to float in the lake. It's a super stressful thing to create and to put on. It is a labor of love for sure. And I think from a management perspective, one of my favorite things was seeing everybody chipping in the teams, taking meals and making it happen. Like, it feels like the beginning of the buy-in that is needed to make this sustainable for any kind of long-term consistency. And then just from a mama perspective, it's like seeing your people love to be together and enjoy each other and connect on a deeper level. That's priceless.
My favorite part of this 4th of July, like most of the big holidays that we do here, is just the bringing together of all these different people and getting to know their stories and getting to know them better and connect with them. And probably the embodiment of some of my favorite moments are on our last night together, Saturday night. We went around the room and did popcorn questions, where a person would select a random person in the room and they get to ask this random person a question. And then that random person, of course, has to answer it. And then once they answer it, they ask another random person in the room. But they have to make sure everybody gets asked the question. Everybody gets asked a question, and it can be any sort of random question. And in the process of this, you get to know people's stories, something about who they are. And it doesn't have to be your deepest, darkest or whatever, but it just good, interesting questions. I love getting to know people and their complexity. So the being around family, feeling the love, and then the deeper connection, best part of the 4th of July.
That to me was having all the young, from my standpoint, the third generation, not my group, not your group, but your children and their friends pulling together to make it a success and watching them enjoy it. That was the best part of this holiday, was watching them actually putting the effort into it and seeing the success of it.
This is embarrassing because I can't dance in any way. I have no musical ability. Go some.
My go-to dance move, it's what gets me all the women's, and I actually taught this to Primo. It's our signature move at any dance party. So It's a bit complicated, so try and stick with me through this, but your fist has to go up like this, and then it's here. That's it.
That one right there. There you go. Gotta have something like that, or now see, there's literally not enough room, but it's not even like the electric slide, but like if there's a good groove going and I can do one of these like across the room and just keep going, that's all I got there. Dancing is not my my forte, but here.
Woo woo woo! I guess that, right? You're kidding me, right?
It's probably like a little.
I don't know, maybe a little this action. Something like that.
I do this one with Moreno a lot.
Like, this is the Lethal Company vibe right here. It's kind of, I like it. You just hit on one of these. That's the whole dance. Just doing that all the time.
I feel like as of late, I've been doing a lot of or like yeah, no, it's all in the arm, you know, and it's in the, you gotta bend the knees, gotta do a bounce. But see, this dance is really like, it's really versatile dance because you can go down with it, or you can go up with it, or you can go like side, you know. Yeah, that's my dance.
Is that good? It's good. Simple, the worm hump.
Whatever you call this thing. There you go.
Okay, ready?
What? There you go. Yep. I guess that's the best I got right now.
It depends on the vibe, but like if you really want to get into something fun, this is what I used to do as a kid. It's called the SpongeBob. You go with your feet, little crisscross action. The SpongeBob.
So I mean, I guess it depends what the little beat is, but you know that little which used to do in the 80s. You know,
Oh, my kids are gonna edit that out. Oh. Finish. I'm just kidding. Just thought about Hitch. It's like you just gotta keep it right here. You just gotta keep it right here.
Yeah, girl. What? Huh? Yeah. You know, something like that. Because I totally know how to dance, so.
well, the only one I can do now is the shuffle, because that's what I do all day long. Is shuffle. No, that'd be my go-to dance.
Moral of the story: don't pee in the dark unless you want to get peed on.